All right, yeah, so is it rolling?
Yeah.
I guess it is, okay. Yeah, I was just telling a few words about myself. So I was a lot of years learning with Yerushalayim's premier Kabbalistic yeshivas, Kabbalists over there. And one thing you noticed in Kabbalah, when you spend a lot of time inside of it, is that it's a language, it's a template, it's a code. And it's a code that's sort of begging to be translated into life, which a lot of people have done already, on one level or another. But I've always been motivated in that direction, and so tried to take the teachings, the Kabbalistic teachings, and translate them into applied life situations. And there's no end to it. There's a reservoir, wellsprings of wisdom and knowledge that's just waiting to be grabbed. It's a knowledge which is no ordinary knowledge. It's a knowledge which is according to one of the main authors of that knowledge, Rabbi Bar Yochai, who authored the Zohar. It's a knowledge that is meant to bring Mashiach. It's meant to makarev and bring closer the messianic times, messianic consciousness. So that's the deeper idea, and that's what's been motivating me to be a counselor of that translated wisdom, a teacher of that translated wisdom. So I used to come about 3 or 4 times to the States from Israel, and now it's once a year. Nowadays, I'm just trying to stir up some interest, stir up some sparks, some holy sparks. That Kabbalah's holy sparks basically is an idea of finding those aspects of wisdom and life that are lacking in our own, and thereby complete that which is lacking in ourselves. We do that by learning, we do that by eating, we do that by meeting up with challenges, we do that in every single way that we respond to what life throws at us at all times. And so tonight's talk, with that background in mind, is talk about meditative discussion and experience about peace of mind. And I've been thinking ever since you put that on the table for me a few weeks back, I've been thinking about all the time, thinking about what it means, what's the idea of peace of mind, what it goes to, it comes to teach us, what it comes to show us, what is the source of all that in our sources, in Kabbalistic sources, Torah sources, and other sources, and what are the applications in our lives that hopefully can turn us into people of peace, into people of Yeshuv Dat, people who have peace of mind as well. So in exploring all that, I think in exploring any topic, any contemporary topic, I think you have to look, if you want to look at it through the perspective of Jewish thought and Jewish sources, you have to basically take a look at what the Holy Tongue says about the essence of these ideas. So what is the Lashon HaKodesh, what is the holy Jewish tongue which bespeaks the essence of anything and everything? What does it talk about the essence of peace of mind? So to understand that, I think you have to look at the word peace, the word shalom. And the word shalom is a very, 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 very powerful word, maybe one of the most powerful words in the entire Hebrew language. It's a word that we, even when we're in a compromising situation without clothes on in a mikveh, we're not supposed to say the word shalom to somebody, because the word shalom represents God's name. And the word shalom represents a Torah scholar's name. The word shalom represents some of the highest and most transcendent ideas and concepts in life, period. The word shalom, the word peace, comes from a number of different sources we find. One of the sources is the root source of the word is the word shalem, which means complete, whole. So there's something about shalom that is teaching us, informing us of the idea of wholeness. And the word shalom also teaches us about the idea of having shalom b'mromav, oseh shalom b'mromav. We say that Hashem, that God makes peace in his upper realms, which means the peace is not just an absence of argument, or not a peace treaty, so to speak, as a way of making sure the two sides don't fight. But peace is a very, very profound type of a fusion or an integration of ideas that are usually antagonistic to each other. Our sages say that Oseh shalom b'mromav, God makes peace in the upper heights, in the upper worlds, in the angelic worlds, means that God makes peace amongst all the elements of the world. He makes peace between fire and water, and between earth and air, and between all the other elements that comprise reality, basically. So shalom is one of the deepest ideas that exist as a result of that. And that's another source idea of what shalom is all about. Another one is that shalom is a state of being which is basically all about unity. We have Pinchas in Parshat Pinchas. Pinchas was the classic Jewish zealot who stood up with zealousness for the fallout in the children of Israel in the desert when they took to lusting after in a way that was not proper for themselves. And in his zealousness, Pinchas basically made peace between the upper and lower worlds, between heaven and earth, between the Jewish people and God. And in making that peace, he was, measure for measure, he was granted peace. He was granted what's called the Brit Shalom. What's called the idea of a covenant of peace. And the covenant of peace, one of the teachings of what the covenant of peace is all about is that the covenant of peace, the Malbim teaches this on one of the great commentaries on the Chumash in the Bible. He teaches that the covenant of peace is the idea of that Pinchas was merited, is the idea of all of the different body parts of Pinchas. They all were in unison, integration, holistic integration with each other. So much so that according to the Kabbalistic teachings, Pinchas himself was Eliyahu, was Elijah the prophet. And we know by Elijah that Elijah never died. And so he was given such a profound peace, such a profound shalom between all the different body parts in his, that they all worked together. They never aged. All the different parts of the body of his body, they were at peace with each other. And we also say peace with regard to Shabbat. We say Shabbat Shalom, the Sabbath of peace. What's the peace of Shabbat? What's the idea of peace? So there's a number of different explanations. One of the explanations is that Hashem rested on the seventh day. What does it mean he rested? It means that he refrained from creating, continuing to create the world, and we do the same. We also rest from that type of creation. And that rest is basically being at peace or in harmony with all of the harmony of the universe that exists. So again, it's a type of a meaning that suggests a greater reality, a greater divine type of reality of being at peace with all the elements, components, and processes of life, the world. And we have what's called shalom bayit. We have peace between a husband and a wife, which is basically the idea of that as, or maybe because of the differences that they have. The differences they have by nature of the fact that he's a man and she's a woman, and the differences that they have by nature of their upbringing, and the differences that they bring to their situation, to their atmosphere in the home. So shalom bayit is not only the fact that they can get along and not tear each other apart, but shalom bayit is the idea that they bring into their lives a profound peace, where all the differences that they have between them are all in unison, are all connected to each other. And we say that Hashem, that God is basically Mazaveh Zivugim. God is somebody who actually brings and bonds people together. And that bonding together is a way of finding deeper and deeper ways that all the differences can all come together inside of himself and create shalom. To the point where there's a million different levels of shalom bayit. There's a million different levels of the harmony, which seems to be the common denominator of all these definitions of the harmony that exists between a husband and a wife. Obviously, of a husband and a wife who've had a successful marriage for many, many, many years have many, many, many different levels of shalom. Many different levels of understanding, most oftentimes unspoken understanding between them. And they can understand the shalom that they have is profound. And the shalom they have is not only profound, but it's a shalom like we say with God makes shalom in the upper worlds. He'll say shalom b'romav. It's a shalom that comes from above as well. So all in all, we have more or less this idea of shalom being something that comes from a higher realm. Shalom comes from up above. Shalom comes from all around us. It's the beautiful working together of all the various parts of life and all the cogs in the machine and the wholeness and the harmony and everything that exists with it. That's what shalom is. That's what shalom is all about. So a number of years ago, I was taking a trip to my 8th in a row. I was invited back 8 different times to Maui, Hawaii, to give seminars over there. And the seminars to a large extent were based on trying to match wits with the healing methodologies and the healing ideas that they have in the Hawaiian culture. So in a public format I had a public format, I representing the Kabbalistic way of life, the Kabbalistic way of thinking, and we had an open mic sort of public format interview, questions and answers, all about what's the difference between, or what's the likenesses between Kabbalah and Hawaiian culture. And I sat there with two, what they call kapunas and kahunas, which is very similar to a Kohen, spiritual teacher. These are Hawaiian spiritual teachers, Hawaiian ladies who had great respect from all the people over there, and found a lot of different things between us that were alike. And one of the very interesting things that came up that we had in common with the Hawaiian culture is that one of the central pillars of Hawaiian spiritual outlook and healing is this concept called aloha. Aloha is not just hello or goodbye, as is shalom in the Hebrew language, but aloha is also this idea of harmony. That it's a very beautiful harmony, very calming and wonderful kind of a harmony that they have over there in Hawaii. And I think the closest possible thing, almost exactly that we have in our culture, is shalom. It's this idea of shalom. Shalom is the harmony. Shalom is the wholeness that we talked about. Shalom is the Shabbos, is the idea, not only a Shabbos of resting, but it's a Shabbos of also seeing our entire lives once we step up and ascend in consciousness into the Shabbos mindset. It's an idea of seeing our lives as actually being fused and run by a greater power. And that whatever we accomplish is only something that's part of a greater guidance system, nurturing system, by Hashem, by God, by the universe, by anything that we allow ourselves to be guided by. And that's an understanding. That's a very shalom type of an understanding that we have on Shabbat itself. So all these ideas basically suggest that there's a harmony, and it's a harmony that's coming from above. And that's what shalom is, and that's what I think a true Kabbalistic Jewish perspective of peace of mind is all about, is we have to understand that there's a harmony, and we have to understand that it's coming from above, it's coming from a higher place. And if we allow that into our lives, as the colloquialism goes, if we let go and let God into our lives, then we have shalom, and we have peace. So what I'd like to do with you, since we want to do this a little bit in a style of hands-on meditations, I'd like to show you a few examples of how to get this, how to get shalom, how to bring this down, how to bring down this harmony, and how to bring down this divine guidance into our lives. And so the first one I'd like to deal with, the first way I'd like to deal with this is through an exercise or a group of exercises that I deal with called Perfect As Is, called looking at life, seeing everything that goes on in our life as being perfect as is, that whatever it is that we're sent in our life, rather than struggling against it, rather than trying to understand that things ought to be a different way, which usually takes us out of shalom, takes us out of the harmony of our lives, thinking there's something better on the other side. It's basically saying what our sages said, which is everything that Hashem does, He does for the good. He does for the best. He does for the perfection of what's going on. And it's perfect as is. And if you do an exercise, if you do a meditation, which I do a lot, just walking down the street and saying to myself, perfect as is, every 15 seconds or so, then what comes up actually in that exercise is that there's a lot of imperfections in this perfect as is business. My life is full of imperfections. But that's okay, because we're in a world, as the Kabbalah teaches us, that is being perfected, that's on its way to being perfected. We're in a world called the world of tikkun, the world of rectification. It's all moving upwards. It's all moving towards perfection. So if we allow ourselves to get on that path of things being perfect as they are, then we're in a path of peace of mind. That we don't have to repress different types of emotions or different types of fears or different types of ideas which are taking away our peace of mind. Rather, we can say those themselves are perfect just the way they are. So the first exercise, first meditation I'd like to do with you is a very simple one. And that's just to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and feel yourselves to be very calm, and approximately every 10 or 15 seconds quietly or silently say to yourself the words perfect as is. And have in mind that as imperfect as everything that comes into your mind, everything that those words cause your thoughts to wrap around in, it really is perfect as is. It really is moving into a direction of perfect as is. Let's try that just for a little while and see if you can bring up even the imperfect kind of things and accept them and be okay with them. Let's just try that for 2 or 3 minutes right now. Another type of meditation that also falls in that same category of seeing everything as being harmonious is basically choosing to see, choosing to look at your life as being good. There's a mindset where actually taught in the Chabad Hasidim that is referred to as think good and it'll be good. The idea is that you manifest reality, you create reality by seeing your life as being good. And that's a very profound way of perceiving life itself. To be able to see good, to choose to see that everything that happens to me is really for the best, is really good. And even taking note of how all the things, good things that are happening to me are increasingly good all the time. Focusing on that good. By doing that, you bring a lot of peace, a lot of shalom, a lot of harmony into your life. For a minute now, another little mini meditation here. Just focus on a day. Focus on today. And whatever the events of the day were in your life today, see how those events are actually very, very good for you. And maybe in a way that you don't know, that you don't understand. But you can embrace an acceptance that it is for the good. And then foresee afterwards how, one way or another, it's going to manifest as being a good thing. One more from this category of perfect as is something that someone taught me many years ago, and I found that to be constantly true, is that along the same lines of understanding that everything is good, ultimately good for you. Everything turns out to be good even though we don't see the good or don't understand how it's good right now. is to understand the concept that when one door closes in our lives, whatever that door might be, another one always opens in its place. We have a concept that when one righteous person passes away, another righteous person is born in their place. So we also have a concept that when one door closes, no matter what that is, lost opportunity, or lost money, or lost faith in yourself, keep yourself open to seeing another door that's going to open up in your life. Let's try a very short little meditation about picturing a door in the past. It could be a recent past that is closed, and how another door will open its place. And how by focusing on that other door opening consciousness, a lot of other doors can open up for you in your life and give you a lot of shalom, a lot of peace of mind in that way as well. Shalom b'ramav. The person has to understand that God is making shalom for us at all times. We just have to be able to accept that, to open up ourselves to see that shalom, see that harmony, see that guidance, see that love, see that nurturing. Let go and let God into our lives. What do we let go of? First thing we let go of is resistance. Pay attention to our lives. If we pay close attention, we'll find there's a lot of resistance in our lives. A lot of resistance to the fact that things aren't going the way I want them to go, and things are making me nervous, things are making me uptight, things are making me anxious. If we let go and let God into the whole struggle, or let go of the whole struggle, because God is taking care of us, we let in a huge amount of peace of mind, of shalom. King David, in the Psalms that he recited with Ruach HaKodesh, with the power that he instilled in them, that they speak to every single person that says them with their heart, in a heart-filled way. They never get old, because they're blessed with the Holy Spirit, with Ruach HaKodesh. It's one of those Psalms. One of those Psalms is Hashlech al Hashem Yehavcha V'hu Yechal Kalecha, which means toss up to God your burden, and God will take care of you. Let go, let God. Same idea. So we're going to try just for another couple minutes right now to do that, to toss up whatever it is that's bothering us. Toss it up to God. Let God take care of it. Let God take care of it. If you have something else that comes to mind, let God take care of that thing as well. Let's try that one for a couple minutes right now. Let's la 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 da 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 la 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 If you let go also of the need to control the different aspects of your life, you let God control what needs to be controlled, and you let go also of the need to have approval from other people. These are very, very fundamental concepts, fundamental ideas. When we let these go, when we let the needs go, even just for a short time, even for just a few minutes in a day, or something that's really, really bothering us, we let that go. We put it on a cloud and we send it up to God and say, God, you take control. God, you manage my need for receiving approval from other people, and just give that up. So what comes down to our minds and to our consciousness is shalom, is peace of mind. So go through your mind right now, another little tiny meditation, go through your mind and see those things that are bothering you, and see that what is causing the bothering is basically either a need to control the situation or a need to get approval of the situation. And put them on a cloud, those needs, and give them up to God and let God take control. Another thing to let go of control is our thoughts. Usually our thoughts are something that we think them and we move towards accomplishing, taking care of, or coping in one way with the thoughts that are coming through our minds. But if we do a little meditation, focus on your breathing, focus on just one thing over and over again, and let the thoughts do what they may. Let the thoughts play themselves out. Let the thoughts just be passive to those thoughts. Just watch them. Those little pockets of resistance thoughts, let them go, and let them do what they may, and in that way purge them out of our system. Little pockets of resistance that have been waiting to be removed, because they get in the way of our shalom, of our inner peace, of our mind peace as well. So just for a couple of minutes, just watch those thoughts without having to do anything about them. Whatever comes up is fine. Just watch it like you watch a movie. And let go of the fear. Let go and let God in. And understand that the very things that we're afraid of, we have lived a long life of salvations, of God coming through for us in so many ways, every single day of our lives. And the essence of trust, the essence of what's called bitachon, a form of emunah, a form of faith, active faith called trust. The essence of that is to know that just like God came through for me in the past, in this or any similar situation, God's going to come through for me right now, whatever it is I'm fearing. And you can let go of that fear and understand. Not understand, it's beyond understanding. And just embrace the idea that God is going to come through for me now also. If you trust in God in that way, then God's going to come through. He's going to trust in you as well. God goes with us in sort of a mirror type of a fashion. King David called that, God is my shadow. Just like your shadow moves the way you move, so God moves the way we move. And we throw that up to God and we say that, I trust you. So God trusts us as well. God comes through for us as well. So whatever it is that you're afraid of right now, just for a little tiny meditation, let that fear go by the wayside, and in its place, let that security come in, knowing that just like God came through for me in similar ways in the past, God's going to come through for me now as well. Take any questions that anybody has about the topic or something related to the topic. Shalom.
You need to recover for a second.
Huh?
You're so relaxed.
Oh, yeah. Just rest up for a while. Soak it in. Soak it in.
Here you go.
Yes.
Yeah, what are some other things you learned that was similar between Hawaiian culture and Jewish culture?
Hawaiian and Jewish. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot to do with nature. Land of Israel is alive. Land of Israel is like a being. If you learn, certainly in the Kabbalistic sources, Eretz Yisrael, it's in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha talks about the spies and their need to go into the land in an above nature type of a way and relate to the land as being alive, as being something that has a personality, as being a person that relates back to us the way we relate to her. And Hawaiians look at their land in the same way very much, very, very careful of what they do with the land and not to be very gentle with the land and the way you relate to the land relates back to you. One thing is the land. They have certain reincarnation kind of topics which relate to ours as well. We went on for 3 hours talking about similarities at the time. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. Anybody else? Questions? Yes?
Yeah, about a year ago I asked you on Facebook about tapping.
About?
Tapping? Can you explain that to me on Facebook?
Tapping, like EFT kind of
Right.
tapping? I don't recall answering you, but I'm not really an expert in tapping.
Like, you explained something about maybe so that to let go, what you were saying about letting go and maybe you want.
It's probably similar. It's probably a similar type of thing. It's probably like it is a letting go, I think. That's at least I would understand it that way. That a person basically there is a certain resistance, certain holding on to different types of, and the tapping itself sort of allows that to release. I think any kind of healing, including tapping and all of that, is all about release. It's all about there's something that's blocking the flow, and what we try to do in healing is to try to release that flow.
There's no Kabbalistic tie to that.
Sure. Kabbalah is all about, there's a lot of different types of flows in Kabbalah. There's a lot of different types of ways that the whole spherotic system is all about flow. It's all about, there's a flow from the highest sphera to the lowest sphera, from the conception to the actualization, to the consummation, from the whether it's in a process or in a structure, from the top to the middle to the end. There's a flow. There's many flows. There's flows between the right and the left, and there's diagonal flows, and there's a lot of flow that is connected not only with the thing itself, but also with the other worlds, with higher worlds, parallel worlds that are going on at the same time that we're going on, and being open to the flow of what's really usually hidden deep inside our awareness, inside our consciousness. It's all about flow. It's definitely all about flow. There's a lot to say about that. Anybody else? Any other feelings, questions, anything? All right.
Okay.
We'll wrap it up.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
If anyone has any private questions to ask Rabbi Schwartz, please feel free. And also anyone who's interested in pursuing private instruction with him, I will mention that of the 3 people who have taken that offer from me and started learning with him, as it happens in the last 2 months, all 3 of them have gotten married.
Yeah, that one worked out.
I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but if anyone is looking to achieve that, I don't know. I'm just saying it seems to work.
We had some good...
But he does a lot of important and really fascinating work with people, and if you're interested, he does it on Skype, and it's fun. And I've done it for many years and enjoyed it tremendously. So there